Hey team, now I'm going to go through one of these on the practice parts B sheet, just because these are generally more challenging shapes that take a number of steps and take a little bit more to figure out how they have been done. I think for this video I might have a go at doing the stop plate, the one in the top left hand corner here. That should cover enough of the skills that we need. So to start off with, we'll just zoom in on that a little bit so we can get some ideas of dimensions and the shape itself. Now my intention with this particular shape is to draw this side profile here. I'm going to ignore the radius on the corner, I'll do that a little bit later. But just the side profile, it kind of looks like a letter T, but only it's got a little short side here. I'm going to make sure I draw in this rib that is in the middle, and we're going to look at another way to use the extrude tool to be able to create a shape like this. Because I think in some respects it can be easier to create this shape out from the middle than creating it from one end and extruding all the way across. So that's how I'm going to attempt to do this in this particular video. I'm just going to get some general dimensions here. So 43mm tall on this part, 8mm wide here, 5mm wide here. This area here is still 8mm wide as well. And it looks like it comes out by 30, so that should be enough dimension for me to get started. So here we are in Fusion. We're going to go ahead and start a new sketch to start this object. I'm going to create my sketch on this plane here. So as it kind of looks like that letter T, just with some weird shape to it, I'm going to go ahead and do this one without adding specific dimensions. I'm just going to make it roughly the right size. I have to zoom in a bit to do this. And we'll go down like that, maybe across like that, down again, back towards the start, and zoom in a bit to there, and then back to the beginning. So I haven't put any dimensions on yet, but that's my basic shape. It's roughly correct. I did make sure that the first line I did was fairly accurate as far as length. I wanted it to be close to what I needed so that it would be easier to go ahead and do the dimensions. So now I'm going to select the dimension tool, which is this one here. You can also find it at the bottom of the create drop down here, or by hitting the D key on the keyboard. This first line was 43mm long. This one down here was 8. This little one here was 5. This one here was 8. It came out by 30mm from the main object. So we'll set that to 30 there. We'll make sure this one is also 30 because it should be the same. And then finally, that's all defined now. Yep, so I've defined all my dimensions. I don't necessarily need to put 30 on both spots. I could have put, instead of a 30 there, I could have put an 8 up here if I wanted to as well. So there's my basic shape. The last thing I want to do is make the rib that goes down the middle of it. And that's going to be from one corner to the other like that. So there's my initial sketch. Now that I've got my initial sketch, I'm going to start doing some extrusion. We're going to do this a little bit differently to what I've done previously. So I'll go back to my home view. To do this, I'm going to click the extrude tool. I'm going to start with the main profile. Now this main profile is 90mm long in total. And I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to use a symmetric extrusion here under the direction. I'm going to go for the whole length, and I'm going to make the distance 90mm. So now I've extruded out from the middle. That's going to make a new body, which is fine, and I'm happy with that general shape. It looks roughly correct. Now I'll press OK. Now unfortunately my sketch has disappeared, although I do kind of want the information from that sketch still. So I'm going to click this little arrow on the left, and then I'm going to click the little eye here. That makes my sketch visible again. Alright, and I'm going to run another extrusion just on the rib part in the middle. I'm going to do the same thing as before by changing the direction to symmetric, and we'll go whole length again. Now it happens that this rib, it's not necessarily shown on the drawing particularly well, but it is 8mm wide. So that's going to be my total distance for this one, just like that. So there's the rib in the center. That's going to join on to the rest of the body. Press OK. We've now completed that part, and I can turn the sketch off again. I've got 2 steps left on this. I need to radius this corner, and I need to add 2 holes here and here. To do the radius, I can use this tool in the modify palette here, or in the modify drop down called fillet. You can also press F on your keyboard for this. I'll select these top 2 corners, and in the information for this one. It talks about the radius of the fillet being 10 millimeters, so it says R10 on the drawing. So there's my 10 millimeter radius, and I'll just press OK. So now I've got my 10 mil radius on each. Finally, I'll bring the drawing back down so you can see this. So far I've got everything but these two holes. These two holes indicates have a diameter of 10 millimeters, and the holes are 21 millimeters in from the end in both cases, and 15 millimeters out from this crease here. So that's my next step, is to create those two holes. So first I'm going to create a sketch on this surface here. I'll go ahead and create my circle. I'm just going to create the 10 millimeter diameter circle to start with. I'll do this in both positions, so here and here. Next I need to position them, so I'll use the sketch dimension tool for that. And in from the end, they were 21 millimeters in. Do the same with this one if it will let me. Yep, 21. And then finally, I need to go out from this line here by 15 to the center as well. So 2 clicks like that, 15, line, center, 15. So now I've got my two 10 millimeter holes positioned correctly. I can tick Finish Sketch, back to my home view, and then using the Extrude tool, I'm going to cut these through this lower part here. You can notice that the arrow in my case is pointing straight up. That means if I want to go down, I need to use a negative number. This area here is 8 millimeters thick, so as long as I go that or further, it will cut through nicely. So I'm going to go -8 in this case, and that will cut through the whole way. Press OK, and I've now made the two holes that are described in the technical drawing. And that is the stop plate. Remember, when you're ready to finish a task and you want to save that, you can click the Save button here. And then once in this menu here, you can also change where you're saving that to different folders or new projects. And make sure you name it accurately for what you have created. You should have a project named 8 Design and Technology, and you could also have a folder within it called Skills Tasks. Alright, all the best luck with creating these more challenging practice parts, and that should about give you some pretty good skills if you've managed to create all of them in using Fusion 360 to design objects. Thanks for watching.